Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you to PWF Online presentation of Zip, Lip, Tip, featuring our very own cast from PWF: Cecil V, Edel, Grace, Phoebe, Lisa, Jeslyn, Ete, Benj, Tetel, Ella, Lani, Ida, and Jovi. Taken from Exodus 14.
Turn back and encamp near Pi Hahiroth between Migdol and the sea. The Israelites are to encamp by the sea, directly opposite Baal Zephon. Pharaoh will think.
The Israelites are wandering around the land in confusion, hemmed in by the desert.
Israelites make voices wandering around the land.
The people had fled.
And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will pursue them. But I will gain glory for myself through Pharaoh and all his army, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord.
So the Israelites did this.
The people had fled.
Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds about them and said,
What have we done? We have let the Israelites go and have lost their services. Ready, my chariots. Army, come with me.
Yes, Pharaoh, here we are.
I will take 600 of the best chariots, along with all the other chariots of Egypt with you. Officers,
Yes,
over
Pharaoh.
all of them.
Yes, Pharaoh, we are.
Here we are.
I harden the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
Pharaoh pursued the Israelites, who were marching out boldly. The Egyptians, all Pharaoh's horses and chariots, horsemen and troops, pursued the Israelites and overtook them as they camped by the sea near Pi Hahiroth, opposite Baal Zephon.
Stop! Come back to Egypt!
As Pharaoh approached, the Israelites looked up, and there were the Egyptians marching after them.
We are terrified.
The Israelites cried out to the Lord. They said to Moses,
Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? What have you done to us by bringing us out of Egypt?
Did we say to you in Egypt, leave us alone, let us serve the Egyptians?
It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the desert.
Moses answered the people,
Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance of the Lord will bring today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You only need to be still. God will fight the battle of you, and you keep your mouth shut.
Then the Lord said to Moses,
Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on.
Move on, move on.
Raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water, so that the Israelites can go through the sea on dry ground.
Moses obeys.
I will harden the heart of the Egyptians, so that they will go in after them. And I will gain glory through Pharaoh and all his army, through his chariots and his horsemen. The Egyptians will know that I am the Lord when I gain glory through Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen.
Then the angel of God, who had been traveling in front of Israel's army, withdrew and went behind them.
I am withdrawing. I am moving from in front of Israel's army and going behind the Israelites.
The pillar of cloud also moved in front and stood behind them. Coming between the armies of Egypt and Israel, throughout the night the cloud brought darkness to the one side and light to the other side, so neither went near the other all night long. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left.
We are pursuing you.
We are following you into the sea.
All 600 of our best chariots, along with all the other chariots of Egypt, with officers over all of them, all Pharaoh's horses and horsemen, are pursuing you to the sea. During the last watch of the night, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud at the Egyptian army.
I am throwing the Egyptian army into confusion. I will jam the wheels of their chariots so that they have difficulty driving.
And the Egyptians said,
We are
confused.
What's going on? Let's get
away from the Israelites.
The Lord
is fighting for them against Egypt.
Then the Lord said to Moses,
Stretch out your hand over the sea so that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and the horsemen.
Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and at daybreak the sea went back to its place. The Egyptians were fleeing toward it, and the Lord swept them into the sea. The water flowed back and covered the chariots and horsemen, the entire army of Pharaoh that had followed the Israelites into the sea. Not one of them survived. But the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on the right and on their left. That day, the Lord saved Israel from the hands of the Egyptians. And Israel saw the Egyptians lying dead on the shore. And when the Israelites saw the mighty hand of the Lord played against the Egyptians,
We fear,
We fear you, Lord. We put our trust in you and Moses, your servant.
praise God.
The end. Yay! Lord. Na-record ko sa cellphone. I'm not sure if your picture
Nag-picture na ba tayo?
Sis, naka-on pa ang recording mo.
Nag-picture
Naka-on
na
pa ang recording
tayo?
mo.
Ano ba to? Stop. Teka, pause.